I want to welcome you to this series on power shifting for educators, specifically thinking about what that looks like in a high school setting. And to get us started, I wanted to tell you a little bit about the history of how this particular project came into being. So, to start us off, I wanted to tell you the story of my friend Rudy. In 2013, Rudy was working with us in the Brooklyn Park area, and he really had a heart for young people. And he encouraged me to think about how we could help young people grow to the fullness of who they were created to be. And so Rudy gathered this group of five young men together, and he asked them if you could do anything to help the young people in this neighborhood really thrive, what would you do? And the young people told him two things. They would create a safe space where they could just come and be and hang out and support and encourage one another and really talk about the things that were meaningful to them. But also, they would create economic opportunities that they really wanted to earn some money, to gain some skills, to start to prepare for the workforce. And so Rudy gathered them together and we started creating some internship opportunities with local businesses. So we had some of our young people working in a local bike shop, others working in a grocery, or not grocery store, I'm sorry, in a cafe, and thinking about how to give them those kinds of life skills. But there just wasn't enough opportunities of that nature to really accommodate the number of kids that we really wanted to support in this way. And so in 2015, we started incorporating young people in a very significant way into our community building practices. And we started teaching the youth, high school youth, how to conduct community listening projects where the young people would go out and interview their neighbors. And you'll learn more about what a listening project is as you move through the course of the training, but we taught them how to do that and how to discover the hopes and dreams of their community. And we paid them $10 per survey, and that was really exciting. And the young people loved getting paid a little bit, and it grew pretty fast. We ended up with five teams working in five neighborhoods by 2015. What happened after that was really interesting. We had a group working in the Broadwater neighborhood, and the whole idea was the kids would do this for 8 weeks in the summer, and then that would kind of be it. And the young people challenged us to think about them as the leaders of the action teams, which is what grows out of a community listening project. And so during that time frame, those kids really challenged us to see them as the leader. But there was one young man who asked me a really challenging question, and his name was Joel, and he lived on the north side. And he said to me, Miss Wendy, is my school a community? And I said, well, yeah, Joel, your school is a community. Um, And he said to me, well, if my school is a community, then why aren't we doing this in my school? Because my school is way scarier than my neighborhood. And that just really made me pause. I had never thought about applying our ABCD practices, our Empowered Communities framework, in a school based setting. Well, that was in 2015. I didn't know how to do it. And so I just started telling people that question, asking that question. And I was speaking to a CIS luncheon in Chesterfield County, that CIS is Communities and Schools, that they were hosting. Actually, it was Chesterfield County, and there was a CIS site coordinator in the room listening to me do that. And she just was captivated by this question. So in 2017, we started really thinking about what does youth as leaders look like, not just listeners, but leaders. And we developed a year-long internship opportunity with young people actually leading the action teams. And in 2018, we started connecting to schools, kind of recruiting young people out of schools to participate in the action teams and help lead the action teams still in the neighborhood. And then in 2019, I led a training for youth professionals across our metro region. And in that particular training was this beautiful woman, Jennifer. Jennifer had been sitting in the audience when I shared Joelle's question years before. And she got the invitation to come to this training. And I shared that question yet again. And Jennifer just knew that that was what she wanted to explore. So she's a CIS site coordinator in a high school. And she took the principles that we're going to be teaching you through this series and she started to apply them at Meadowbrook High School. And what grew out of that is what became known as Embrace Meadowbrook. And these students took the principles of our Empowered Communities framework and applied it to their high school setting and started to develop action teams and be a part of bringing the dreams of their peers, their fellow students, to life within their context. And you're going to hear a lot more about their story and what they learned as we move through this training. So that is the background of how we started working in schools. And I want to share a little bit more of the story because it gets even more interesting. So in 2018, as this is merging, communities and schools said, we love what you are doing with Jennifer, our one site coordinator. We have 9 site coordinators. Could you train our 9 site coordinators and how to think about not only students as assets, but parents as assets and community members as assets, and really help us think about how do we bridge school and community. I'd spent my whole career working in neighborhoods, and they were going to teach me how to bridge that with the school setting. So we developed a new curriculum called Power Shift for Educators, and I trained CIS of Chesterfield in 2019. In that training, we also had representatives from Chesterfield County Public Schools and Chesterfield County government. And those two pieces, in addition to CIS, kind of formed the launch team, initial launch team for this project. The project is initially focusing on CIS schools, so 9 schools that are supported by communities and schools. But Chesterfield County school system is very interested in what this would look like even in schools that do not have a CIS site coordinator. But we really needed to start somewhere, and so we started with CIS schools. In in 2020, we launched this launch team with all these partners, starting to really think about how do we bridge community and school and mobilize all of our assets to help our students thrive. So the name of this project is Embrace EDU, a Chesterfield approach. I often abbreviate it and just call it Embrace Chesterfield EDU. The vision statement that was developed by the launch team is that we envision thriving schools and neighborhoods where parents and students and community members take ownership of their schools and their neighborhoods in a way that leads to stronger relationships, social trust, a sense of belonging, mutual accountability, respect, and a shared vision for the future filled with community pride. Our mission statement is to strengthen the sense of community in Chesterfield schools and neighborhoods by investing in the development of student, parent, and community leaders who work together to bring about their shared vision for their respective school or neighborhood. And our strategy is that we will do this through a multi-sector, meaning nonprofit, school system, governmental, and congregational partners, working in collaboration to increase the level of student, parent, and community engagement by applying Embrace's Empowered Communities framework which utilizes asset-based community development principles and practices.